British Columbia Institute of Technology acknowledges that our campuses are located on the unceded traditional territories of the Coast Salish nations of Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh.
Good afternoon, I'm Emily Deneen, and here's your news update to 1:30. Julio Montaner, the executive director of the BC Centre of Excellence, says his wish was answered when drug inhalation rooms were brought to the Vancouver safe injection site. Clients will have access in a few weeks. The negative pressure rooms allow fresh air to circulate and clear the air in 30 to 60 seconds, and the occupants are constantly monitored by nurses. Almost 2/3 of overdoses in BC came from smoking illegal drugs, yet only 40% of sites offer a safe space to smoke. And when smoking is offered, it is normally outside in a tent. With a new Instagram update that doesn't allow minors to have public accounts, people are hoping this will keep kids safe. Our reporter Grace Chen has more on some of these built-in features.
For teens accounts, a new function that places restrictions for underage users on the platform. This is a monumental change designed to protect the safety of teens online by making their experiences guided by parents. Instagram is reimagining the teens' experiences on the app by turning it into something more friendly, age-appropriate, and one that allows them to explore their interests without being exposed to unsafe and inappropriate content. Some built-in protections that address top concerns parents have today are the new default private accounts, messaging and sensitive content restrictions, limited interactions to only those the user follows, time limits, and a sleep mode feature. Grace Chen, BCIT's The Crow.
The group representing Canada's physicians has apologized for the medical harm professionals caused to First Peoples. The Canadian Medical Association, or CMA, says it's deeply ashamed of its history of racism, neglect, and abuse. Métis elder Jimmy DeRoche says this apology is important, but it will be a long time until reconciliation is achieved.
It's going to take a long time because there's a lot of damage and harm that was done to our people, and many of them to this day will not even address that. They will not admit it. Many, I know many. And that's the fact of the matter. We need the truth first.
3 First Nations and the BC government have reached an agreement to sell condos for over 60% of their market value. The deal with Squamish, Tsleil-Waututh, and Musqueam First Peoples would have the government loan the other 40% of its costs over 25 years. Premier David Eby says everyone should find a decent place to live.
For too long, the vision of home ownership, the idea of home ownership has been out of reach for way too many people. People who earn a decent income, priced out of the market, and not seeing any path to being able to own a home. We have worked hard with our partners in municipal government, with First Nations partners, with the private sector, with the nonprofit sector, to turn that around.
Quebec Premier François Legault says Bloc Québécois must vote to topple the federal Liberal government, which would cause an election. Legault called on Parti Québécois leader Paul Saint-Pierre Plamondon to ask the Bloc to support the Conservative non-confidence motion. This motion is against Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and shows that the country has no confidence in him. The Bloc and Parti Québécois have previously worked together to campaign for Quebec's independence. After being asked, Bloc leader Yves-François Blanchet posted on X that he would not vote to topple Trudeau. He also says that he serves Quebec on his own judgment. Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre said he will put forward his non-confidence motion on September 24th, and Poilievre has challenged NDP leader Jagmeet Singh to back him on this. The Canadian National Exhibition says Labor Day long weekend brought in the yearly attendance to 1.49 million visitors, which is a number that hasn't been seen since 2019. It's currently 17 degrees with clouds blocking our sun. Some would say that it stole our sunshine. The high is 18 and the overnight low is 11 for the day. That's been your news update to 1:30. Emily Deneen, BCIT's The Crow.
Stay tuned for more on BCIT's 1680 The Crow.
everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikakane.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Theresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Tretnero.
And I'm Radhika Sikakane. Thank you for tuning in to BCIT Magazine.
Good afternoon, I'm Spencer Pomeroy, and this is your 140 Sports Update. Hockey season has arrived as the Canucks open their training camp today in Penticton. The Canucks will begin training camp without goaltender Thatcher Demko as he makes his way back from injury. Demko spoke to media earlier to update his situation.
When I first felt the injury, obviously wasn't too sure what it was, and as we kind of dived into some research and things, it was a little ambiguous, and it's been, like I said, a little bit of a frustrating summer, just trying to get some answers. And obviously we've talked to all the specialists that we can around the world and North America and even overseas, and this is the information that we've kind of gathered, and myself and the staff and the organization are fully confident that we're on the right track.
The Canucks' first preseason game is Tuesday at home against the Seattle Kraken. In other NHL news, the Detroit Red Wings signed Moritz Seider to a 7-year contract worth nearly $60 million. The Red Wings announced the move with the 23-year-old German defenseman on Thursday, 3 days after keeping 22-year-old forward Lucas Raymond with a $64.6 million 8-year deal. Detroit drafted Seider with the number 6 overall pick 8 years ago. He has 134 career points, the most by a defenseman drafted in 2019. Seider won the Calder Trophy as the league's top rookie in 2002. On the pitch, Day 3 of the UEFA Champions League today featured 8 matches. One result saw Florian Wirtz score his first Champions League goal in a 4-0 victory for Bayer Leverkusen against Feyenoord. The German star scored 2 goals in the victory. And 2024 Europa League champions at Atalanta are currently tied with Arsenal 0-0. Some scores on the diamond right now. The Atlanta Braves stomped the Cincinnati Reds 15-3 in Ohio. Baltimore Orioles outfielder Anthony Santander's 42nd home run of the season walked off the San Francisco Giants 5-3 in a much-needed victory. And the Cleveland Guardians walked off the Minnesota Twins in extras 3-2 on an Andres Jimenez RBI single. The Blue Jays are currently leading in Arlington 3-0 against the Rangers. Also, Blue Jays shortstop Bo Bichette has returned to the 10-day injured list due to a right middle finger fracture. The move essentially ends an injury-plagued season for Bichette. It's National Coaching Week in our country, and our reporter Nicholas Hauka spoke to a former football player on the importance of a youth sports coach.
Approximately 68% of kids aged 5 to 17 participate in sports in our country, according to Stats Canada. In charge of directing and teaching those children a specific sport are coaches. Caden McTaggart, a former football player and current head junior varsity coach of the Sullivan Heights Stars, tells us some of the most valuable lessons he learned for everyday life came from his coaches growing up.
A lot of things just don't go exactly how you plan them to go, and the really good coaches will instill in you that that's just something you have to deal with, and that goes outside of sport, in life.
McTaggart is now paying it forward by trying to teach his players those same lessons he learned himself. Nicholas Hauka, BCIT's The Crow.
Reporter Nicholas Hauka now joins us live in studio. Nicholas, how have these schools helped him in his everyday life?
When he's in school full-time, he faces quite a bit of adversity. So whether he's at school working, has a lot of tests during that week and feels overwhelmed, he's able to take a step back, relax, and just imagine the adverse situations he faced before and how he can get through anything. Being able to work as a team as well during group projects, etc. He's already done that in team sports, so that correlates to life very well.
And how do these coaches teach these lessons through the game?
So whenever an adverse situation comes up in a game, coaches, according to him, his coaches would relate it back to real life. Like, hey, we're down big right now. There's going to be points in your life where things aren't going your way. How are you going to respond to that? Are you going to give up, or are you going to keep fighting? Also, the structure that the athletes kind of naturally go through with practice 4 times a week plus a game, you have to be really good with everything by managing your time with school, friends, and practice.
All right, thanks, Nicholas. And tonight on the Gridiron, New York Jets will face off against the New England Patriots on Thursday Night Football. That has been your 140 Sports Update. I'm Spencer Pomeroy, and you're listening to BCIT's The Crow.
Stay tuned for more on BCIT's 1680 The Crow.
Everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikakane.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Theresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Tretanero.
And I'm Radhika Sikakane. Thank you for tuning in to BCIT Magazine.